Mathematics is more about finding a pattern, a recognizable link between quantities that change. In this chapter, we will learn the concept of functions, which is very important in math as it captures the idea of a mathematical correspondence between one quantity with the other. Every physical phenomena around us can be expressed as the relationship between one quantity with other. That is, every physical phenomena, in every physical phenomena, you'll have one quantity or more that will be dependent on one or more other quantities. That can be mathematically expressed using proportionality, which in turn can be reduced to equations. For example, you have the relationship between temperature and volume. So as the temperature increases, volume of an object also increases. That is, you can observe that in ice, water, and water vapor. So if you increase the temperature with ice, so that its volume increases and it becomes water, and then if you heat it again, its volume increases and it becomes water vapor. So that means that temperature, if represented by T, and volume if represented by V, is directly proportional. As I said earlier, proportionality will get converted to equation, that is directly proportional in the sense as temperature increases, volume also increases. So you can express this as an equation by multiplying the volume with respect to a proportionality constant. So this turns out into an equation. The same thing applies to force. So it need not be always directly proportional. If force is applied in the direction of motion, so the speed of an object increases. Speed will increase. So if force is applied in the opposite direction of the motion, so then the speed of the object will decrease. So in the second case, force is inversely proportional to speed. So it is nothing but, the second case is nothing but you are stopping a moving object. So that means force is speed is dependent on force and its direction of application. That is what I meant. So it is not just real life processes that can be expressed as functions. Even mathematical operations such as anything that you do, like addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, and all the operations that you are learning, like square roots and nth roots and etc., they all can be expressed as functions. So you depend on functions to establish concepts, to establish operations, to establish a mathematical process. So this is an active field of research now, which is called as category theory, where you question that is already established. Like you question the definitions, you question why a certain operation has to be done in this way. So how is squaring defined, how is square root defined, etc. So using functions, which are called as morphisms in higher mathematical languages. So this is an active field of research. So functions are really important in the study of mathematics. So coming to the function, a function is nothing but okay, you have three parts of the function. So one is you will have a rule, which is nothing but name of the function. You represent name by letters, small letters. Usually it will be F, G, H, or you can sometimes use, if you run short of letters and you are using a more number of functions, you use Greek letters like alpha, beta, gamma, etc. So you letters, especially lowercase letters, we use to represent rule or name of the function. So for example, if F is representing square a number, so this is the rule. So F represents square a number. So if x acts on 2 is nothing but you will get an output as 2 square. So now to define a function f is a rule that assigns to each element x in set A a unique element f of x in B. So I will underline the term unique. So for example, to emphasize upon like the word unique, I will give an example of a function which is not a I will give an example of a rule which is not a function. For example, if you have a rule of assigning names to students, if you have in A, if you have names, and if you have in B, if you have students, there are all the possibility of Jack being assigned to 2 students. It depends on the students registered for the class. So this is not an unique assignment. That means Jack is not assigned to a unique student. There are all the possibilities of more than one student having the same name. So that is not a function. So that is why I wanted to emphasize on the word unique. So this tells us that what would be a function. So f has, you write the function like this. F is a rule. It takes every element of A to a unique element in B. So this A is called as domain, and we will define what is the range. Okay, and if x belongs to A, f of x will belong to B. Okay, and this f of x is called as image of x under f. So if you have to represent this in an arrow diagram, you can do that as well. This is like the standard form of representing a function. So you can do that in using an arrow diagram as well. So that would be if you have f from A to B. So and here you have say 1, 2, 3, 4, and here you have objects. Okay, so you can assign each number a geometrical object that is drawn. Okay, so this is nothing but an arrow diagram. So this set represents A and this set represents B. So now I told you I already defined domain to be A, and range. Now let us define range. Range of f is a set. Is a set of all possible values of f of x as x varies throughout the domain. So that is nothing but, if you have to write it using the set builder notation, range of f will be, what do you know about how do you represent image of an element x, that is f of x. So range of f will be set of all f of x such that x belongs to A. Correct? It is not necessary like if you see the arrow diagram, it is not necessary like you have all the elements in B to be mapped on to the elements in A. all the elements in A must have an image, but it is not necessary that all the elements in B will be acting as an image. So there is all the possibility of extra elements in the B which are not acting as elements. Like I drew a star in B now. Now star is not acting as an image to any element in A, but this function f is still a function. So what would be the range of f of x in the arrow diagram that I have drawn below? It would be set of all triangle, square, oval and inverted triangle, but not star. So it need not be complete image set, that is B need not be the whole of range of f. So need not be, but it can be. So that is the range of f. So it includes all the image points of the elements that are mapped on from the domain. But this would definitely, range of f will definitely be a subset of B. It can be equal to B as well. So in this case, if you write f of x is equal to y, so x will belong to A and y will belong to B, then x is said to be the independent variable and y is said to be the dependent variable. Because value of y is dependent on the function and that function will be acting on x. So as you observed in graphs, while representing equations, we convert one variable in terms of the other. So usually when we convert y in terms of x, y will be dependent on the value of x. So if you change the values of x accordingly, your y values will also change. It is similar to that method that we adopted while sketching graphs. And y will belong to B, but y will definitely belong to the range set, which is subset of B. Now if we think of a function as a machine, so that is nothing but what is happening. So here we have a machine. So for a machine to work, or why do you use a machine? You put in some raw materials inside the machine, the machine processes it and it gives you a finished product. So it is very similar, functions are very similar to a machine. So you give an input, that is x. So this input is coming from A, set A. So if you input x into the machine, so this is the machine. So inside the machine, it processes based on your f. So this f represents the rule, that is nothing but the processing. Okay, here happens the process where f is being applied on x and the processing happens and output will be f of x. Okay, so output is f of x, that will be inside B. So this would be the finishing diagram, machine diagram of a function. So you can represent a function using an arrow diagram like this, or usually we do it like this. So when we are going into higher classes. So but to have a better visual representation, we can represent it using, if you have finite number of terms, you can use the arrow diagram, or you usually use the machine diagram. So you have certain exercise problems where you are asked to solve or asked to express a function in like express or picturize or sketch the machine diagram for the given function. So we will do that. Suppose we are given a function like this. Express rule in function notation. So we are given a rule, that is we are given a rule in words. Add 1 and take square root. Okay, take square root and divide by 6. So this is the given rule. So how do you express it as a function? So given an input, so your f is nothing but this rule, correct? So given an input, what you are asked to do first, you are asked to add 1. So you will have x plus 1. And you are asked to take a square root. So take a square root of x plus 1 and divide by 6. So divide by 6. So this is how you express a given rule in words as a mathematical function, like in mathematical terms. So that the same thing can be done in a reverse process, that is given a function or given a mathematical expression of a function, you can express them in words. So how is that? If you are given say g of x is equal to x plus 2 by 3. So what is the process that is going on with x? That is the rule g. What is it telling you to do with x? So g is nothing but add 2 and divide by 3, correct? So you given a number, you are adding 2 and you are dividing it by 3. So now if you are asked to draw the machine diagram for this, for the same function g, if you are asked to draw the machine diagram, so how will you draw it? So I told you, first of all, you need a machine. Okay. So you need raw materials for your machine. So you have the raw material X, correct? So that is your raw material that is going inside, that will be your input. So what are you going to do inside the machine? So that would be the rule G, correct? So what add 2 and divide by 3. So this is what is happening inside. So that would be g of x, correct? And what will come out? So your output will be g of x is equal to x plus 2 divided by 3. A final product, a final answer. So this is how you draw a machine diagram given a function. So now you can do the same, like you did this when you were sketching a graph that is giving different values of x. You are finding out what would be the corresponding value of y. In a similar manner, you can evaluate functions at a different real numbers. So if you are asked to evaluate, so the same function, that is g of x is equal to x plus 2 divided by 3 at x is equal to 3, negative 1 and negative 2 and square root of 5. Okay, so you can evaluate the function by substituting the given values in the function and finding out what would be your g of x. So g of 3 would be, in the place of x it will be 3 plus 2 divided by 5, that is nothing, 3, that is nothing but 5 divided by 3. So at negative 2, substitute in the place of x x is equal to negative 2. So you will get negative 2 plus 2 divided by 3, that would be 0. Correct? Numerator is 0. So anything divided by 0, 0 divided by anything will be 0 itself. So now again the same thing applies to g of square root of 5. We get square root of 5 plus 2 divided by 3. So that you can't simplify this further, so you leave it as it is. So this is the final output. So that's how you evaluate a given function at different points, at different input points. Okay, And you can find the domain and range of f also. Suppose you are asked to find the domain and range of g, that is the above function, that is nothing but g of x is equal to x plus 2 divided by 3. If you are asked to find the domain first, so domain is nothing but the permissible values that x can take. So x is in the numerator of a fraction, so it can take any real number. So that would be nothing but r, like it can take any real number, so r itself is the domain. So what is the range? So range is what are all the possible meaningful values that you can get. So again, range is also a fraction where you have a real number, any real number operated with 2 divided by 3 would give you back a real number again. So that range is also r. So I will do a little tricky problem here. This became very simple because you are getting domain and range to be r. So when is it different? Suppose you are given a function like this, f of x is equal to 5x square plus 4. So now what is the domain? What all values that you can substitute inside this equation? There is no restriction of values that can be inputted into the function f. So therefore domain is r. But what about range? So you can observe, you can say range to be completely r, but the range is not completely r because you have something that is a subset that will be acting as an image. So of course you will get a real number if you are performing this operation on a real number. But is it the whole of the real line? You can see it is no, because given a negative real number, x square will give you a positive number, right? So when x square is giving you a positive number, you are adding 5 and you are multiplying 5 and adding 4. That means somewhere you know that the image set will start from not the image set, the range will start from 4, correct? When x is 0, 5 times 0 will be 0 plus 4 is nothing but 4, correct? So x is 0 plus 4 would give you 4. So it is somewhere starting with 4. So what about if you give negative numbers? So negative 1 means 5 times negative 1 the whole square is 1 plus 4. So it is greater than 4. So somewhere you know that because of the type of the given function, your range is starting from 4 and it can go on up to infinity because you have the domain to be of an infinite dimension. So range will be 5x square plus, how do you calculate, 4 will be greater than or equal to 4, right? Okay, so for that, if you simplify this, you have 5x square to be greater than or equal to 0. So that means your x square will be greater than or equal to 0, correct? So you have two chances, that is when x square is equal to 0, x will be 0, and when x square is greater than 0, that means x can be any negative real number or positive real number. X square will definitely be greater than 0. Therefore domain is totally R, correct? But when here you have the other thing, that is I'm sorry, so it states that 0 is the beginning value of the domain. So for domain, when x is 0, you will have the output to be 4 as we calculated above here. So the image starts from 4 and if when x square is greater than 0, the image goes on up to infinity. So this is nothing but the range of f. Okay, so what all we learnt in this video? We learnt how to define a function, how to express a function as a machine diagram, how to evaluate function at different points, and you learned what is a domain, what is a range, how to define a domain, how to define a range, and you learned how to draw a arrow diagram. You also learned how to draw a machine diagram, and finally we learned how to find out the domain and range of a given function. So we shall apply all this, and I'll give you a quiz for that. So quiz 2.1.1, first one. So there is only one problem. So you are given the function h of t is equal to t plus 1 over t. So you have to do the following with respect to the given function, that is express the given function in words. B, draw a machine diagram. C, evaluate at t is equal to -1, evaluate h at t is equal to -1, 2, half, and x minus 1 and 1 over x. You can wherever there is t, substitute the given values and simplify to find out the values of h at certain particular points. So D, find the domain and range. You have to be careful in this case. It is better you simplify the given function and then find the domain and the range. Okay, so I guess you can solve this, and I'll see you in the next video with more regarding functions. Thank you.